week of Kings of the North before the offline event. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined by the wonderful and very handsome looking Tempo. How you doing today, man?
Doing great, doing great. We are getting to the final wire. It is going down as that's it, man. The only people that are going to be playing games are the people that are fighting for their lives in order to make it into the live event. So it's pretty awesome that we're here. We've made it this far. We've had some awesome games, awesome series so far, and it's kind of hard to know who's going to be the final two to make it through.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very close competition as we do have two matches being played today. These are going to determine who are going to be playing in the final decider match to see who goes to the offline finals in the second match that's going to be happening tomorrow. Our first match is already set up. It's going to be Puck versus Semper, which again will be happening tomorrow. But today we have JimRising versus Buster and Peely Peely versus Jig. Before we get started, of course, we want to give a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors that make all of Kings of the North possible. First of all, we give a huge thank you to Chairs for Gaming. If you guys use the promo code ESCHAMP, you can get a little bit of a discount on your chairs, especially if you're in the United States or Canada. They are fantastic things that you guys can sit in and feel very cozy in, just like Tempo and I are sitting in right now. And of course, Aces ROG provides all kinds of wonderful hardware, laptops, etc. You guys should be sure to check them out as well. And of course, the Matcherino. Remember, if you guys donate to that Matcherino, we do have stretch goals. We have rewards for you if you decide to contribute to that Matcherino. It adds the prize pool. It makes the event bigger and greater than ever before. And if you use the promo code KOTN4, you can add $1 to the prize pool without adding any money of your own. But of course, any additional contributions are very much we are thankful for. But with that being said, Tempo, our first match, Buster versus JimRising. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. The fact that it is a TVC, but also because you have this guy Buster, who's been the underdog pretty much all tournament, right? Like,
yep,
we notice that he's a really good player, but then he gets to play against players such as Jon Snow and like just everybody else that you see in a lot of different tournaments, right? So yeah, maybe it's his time. Can he do it? Can he do it, Fear Dragon? This is his last chance in order to make an impact here in this tournament.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
It's tough, yeah.
He's had such also like a difficult number of opponents he's had to face off against. And of course, like when you face off against those opponents, you're going to be seeded into the lower bracket because if you didn't get a great score during the round robin phase, or I should say not the round robin phase, but the what's it called? Oh man, I'm blanking.
The Swiss, yeah.
The Swiss bracket. I was like, cheese. I'm thinking of cheese. But he didn't cheese that much. What was it? The Swiss format. He didn't actually get the greatest score. So
Penguin.
So he started in the losers bracket, and now he's up against the ropes. He has to win 2 matches in a row to make it to the offline finals, and it's going to be against 1 JimRising and 2 the winner of Peely versus Jig, who a lot of people are anticipating will be Peely, but still could very well be Jig just based on how much Peely's been playing lately. It's going to be still a tough run either way.
I think the hardest part for him is that he's faced JimRising before in the Swiss format, and he ended up losing 0-2. So he has to kind of overcome that, throw it in the past. Maybe he learned something from it. Yeah. But JimRising coming in here, I wouldn't say that he is on the same level as someone like Scarlet or Semper, but really still an awesome player. Definitely focusing on different things at this time. And still in Grandmaster, right? And playing really well. He did some really cool stuff, dropping Hydras with that Hydra Bane style. So he takes that style and does a little bit of a different style with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how JimRising is going to play this out. As I think he is the player that definitely has a lot of variance in kind of things that he'll do in this play. And it's more just, I would say that JimRising is really willing to take a lot of risks. And sometimes he does get punished for it, and I will admit he looks a little bit silly and plays a little bit too greedy or plays a little too over-aggressive. But it is definitely a hard sort of style to play against, because if you miss one of the risks that he was taking, then you just fall behind in an instant. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping into game number 1, as we're going to be starting down here, the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Give it up for the Mexican Zerg player. It's JimRising.
And in the top left-hand corner, looking to make his mark in this tournament, the underdog, it is Buster. And from what I've been noticing, he's been doing a lot of timing-based attacks, like very strong timings that if they don't do a decent amount of damage, then he's kind of in a awkward position and he has to kind of scramble and get back into it. So very strong timings. If they don't get scouted, I think that he can do something in this match. But he still has a macro. He does have like a macro style that he does as well. Yeah. I don't think he flounders too much in the late game, but I don't think it's like a super strong point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. JimRising for sure also, like, he used to have this basis back in the day. I'm talking like Wings of Liberty. I'm talking Heart of the Swarm. He actually used to be known alongside all the others, like Mexican Zerg players. Like you had Cham actually also having a pretty similar reputation as being these notorious cheesers, just all-inning all the time in the early game.
Yep.
Looks like we're going to be getting a little bit of lag. Hopefully it does get resolved, but
Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, poor Rocket Raccoon. But yeah, you end up seeing JimRising and Cham and these other Mexican Zerg players being hyper aggressive and very cheesy and all in. They didn't really have that kind of late game play, but it's been a long time since then anyways. They've really come a long ways and have made their way into the macro games, and they've become much better at playing those late game styles. And I think JimRising for sure also has figured out how to do that. Granted, I will say he's figured out how to do it, I think, also by taking a lot of risks, like I was saying before, sometimes playing a little bit greedy to get to the late game. But once he's there, he actually looks really solid.
Yeah, I would say so. I love his mid game. I feel like the fact that he does the weird stuff and things that you wouldn't expect, because like anytime I think of, say, Hydra Bane, I'm like, there's the people that like to chill back, spread their creep, get up to Hive, and then start their pushes on tier 3 almost. And then you get people that just throw that at their opponent until they either out macro them or just barrel them, pummel them into the ground. So I feel like JimRising is a little bit different in that case, where he's not just throwing it at them and saying, okay, I'm out macroing you, so eventually you're going to run out of stuff. It's like, I'm going to surprise you with this huge ass drop. And if you're not in position for it, then you pretty much are dead, because the heart of the Terran usually is going to be sitting right here in that production. So,
yeah. All right, well, we'll see how Buster's going to be able to try and put some pressure on his opponent, try and keep JimRising honest, because I think that really is going to be the name of the game. Keeping JimRising from getting a little bit too greedy, and also just keeping an eye out for if he's going to get really over aggressive. First SIV scout coming on in, and does see pretty much a normal looking setup so far.
Yeah, the good part here is that he doesn't have to worry about that pool first, and I think he even prepared for it, right? Because he made the Marine, he kept the Reaper at home, and then he made the Marine to come out. So even if you make that Marine before that reactor, you're still going to be able to go Overlord hunting if you want to. I guess using the Reaper to even scout around to see where those Overlords are could be a good idea. But looking like Buster is going to stay at home and set up for some kind of a Hellion opener. With the Tech Lab on that barracks, yep, I think we might see just a straight up Hellion Banshee coming out here. Out of Buster.
Yeah, that the Hellion Banshee definitely can be pretty effective. I would even love to see maybe I think the Raven opening used to be pretty common on this map, and I am curious if maybe he'll consider going for that and the auto turret harassment. I know it definitely fell off a little bit.
Yeah,
ever since the auto turrets got a little bit of a nerf. They don't do quite as much damage. They take one additional hit to kill those workers, but still can be effective. Okay, Starport lifting and then going back on that Tech Lab. A little awkward, but
I know, right?
Plus, you're feeling some jitters right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would be feeling them too, as whoever loses this game is out. They have no other chance to play at Kings of the North. There's not like a lower bracket where you just like really have to dig up from. It's like the underground. I don't know.
And this means a lot for someone like Buster.
Hipster and underground at the same time, where you're like so underground that it's like you're hipster.
You're so underground, you're actually overground on the other side of the earth. But oh god, these drones taking some good damage. Buster finding some really nice damage here. The Hellions are all still alive. One of them will be going down. Second one also, and looks like they go down the third and fourth ones as well. But
and he gets
not
two more
too bad.
drones. Yeah, the fact that he was able to get those last 2 drones is really good here for Buster. Traded even mineral count for economy, so that's basically what you want to do. Force that mining time off, and it looks like Buster set out to do what he needed to do with that. We'll see if there's going to be anything different here, as he is setting up for the Banshee transition. I'm wondering what JimRising's planning. He's looking like he wants to do a run by, and there's not a lot here.
Oh boy, this is actually going to be able to do a pretty significant amount of damage. Oh, Buster finally does realize what's happening with those Zerglings. He's busy trying to control his Hellions on the outside of the map, going into the third base at the same time he tries to deal with that Ling run by. He is going to be able to mic his Hellions and keep them alive a little bit longer, but oh man, finally it does seem like he cleans up those Lings inside of his natural. He's able to get back to mining, but already lost more workers than he's killed so far with these Hellions.
Yeah, he didn't want to lose that many. It is suck that he lost 4. He even has a mule that he forgot to put back on mining, but the Banshee didn't get too much done, and it actually stood in the Spore Crawler for a little bit of time, so he did have to pull it back. Buster in an awkward spot when it comes down to it, but it's not horrible. I think 4 SCVs dying to that run by is not that horrible, right? Like, I think he can recover from that for sure.
Especially since JimRising, I think he's not super far, crazy far ahead in tech. He got up his lair, but he didn't really get to do anything with it until just recently, throwing up that Spire. And the earlier damage to the worker damage that we were talking about definitely has put JimRising on the back foot by quite a bit. But oh man, here we go. Double factories being thrown down. Buster going full on mech, something that's been very common to see in the matchup lately.
Yeah, 4 of those SCVs went down again, so 44, that is the amount of workers that he's sitting on. I don't see an engineering bay, Ravi. Fear Dragon, this is going to be pretty bad because the mutas are going to come out so fast. I don't think that they got scouted. And without the capabilities of making Thors just yet, he needs tech labs on those factories. The first wave of mutas could be pretty deadly.
Yeah, he's building 2 tech labs on those factories, so we'll see. Is he going to go straight for the Thors that a lot of Terran players usually tend to go for just as a muted defense, and then they take them into the medevacs, start flying them around, trying to do some harassment? But if he doesn't make 2 Thors, if he makes siege tanks, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's making 1 Thor, second factory, sitting idle.
Yeah, that's good that he at least decided to do that and not go right into tanks. I think a lot of the times you'll see players go into the tanks first if they do scout the Roach Warren or if the Zerg player defends with roaches, right? So he saw just Lings and he's like, okay, I better be ready for mutas.
Mutas catching the Hellions over here, but they do also reveal the mutas, and 1 muta going to be stuck on that medevac. Does get the pick off over there. This is a lot of mutas though for 1 Thor to deal with. Immediately has started up that second Thor during the midst of that attack and is realizing what's going to be going on. Will he have enough over here to actually help defend against the mutas?
Oh, it's going to be tough because Lings are going to support it too here. And there are no turrets at all. The Thor is walking over there. Going to get some shots first. No, he's attacking the Lings first. And he has to lift up the command center. JimRising is going to take the Thor out of the dragon.
Muta's not even magic boxing, but there's enough of them that they can take on that Thor. A second Thor shows up, starts doing some massive splash damage to those mutas. A few of them have gone down. A lot of them sitting very low on health right now. The Thor is being micro back, but he's not targeting the clump of mutas there. He's getting it.
Oh my god, he's repairing the Thor.
But 22 SCVs of 28 SCVs have gone down because a couple of Banelings went off on those SCVs that were repairing the Thor. Still, he pushes back the mutas. Who comes out ahead in this tempo?
Oh, this is JimRising to the fullest. You mentioned it. He lost so many workers there. 33 workers went down. And now, Buster, he wasn't mining from the 3rd that whole time because he was in panic mode. And he's in a bit of trouble. I think 2 Thors is great and all, but the mutas did what they needed to do. And they're not done yet.
Oh, boy.
Going on in. It's going to be like 40 workers that get killed here.
Yeah, weakened SCVs too, also taking a lot of damage, but it looks like the high impact payload Thor doing some good damage to those mutas. Does manage to pick off a majority of them. Doesn't seem like JimRising is really keen on making a lot more though. He's already done so much damage with these Lings. He's moving in, he's going for the jugular on these Thors as well, since there aren't that many Hellions anymore to support.
Yeah, this is insane. He has been doing so much damage. 47 workers, 49 up to almost 50. Buster's only on 27 workers now, and he has triple command center, which is great.
Oh my god.
Here as a mech player, you're going to be trying to get that gas. You don't want a disrupted economy.
Yeah, I mean, 27 workers just isn't enough to really produce the kind of units that Buster needs. Mech is all about building up a huge critical mass of units and then going across the attack with this indomitable force that just cannot be stopped. And Buster doesn't have the economy to do something like that. You can see, like you were saying, how important gas is. He's not mining gas as natural. He's not mining gas as third because he knows even have the SCVs to do it
Right?
effectively.
Oh, it hurts. It definitely hurts here. Banshee's going to try to come around, but JimRising is already transitioned into Hydras. He is doing the double upgrade, so he's not going to pull the Bio Ice and get the triple upgrade. But he's still investing in the air upgrade, so that's interesting to note. Perhaps he's going to try to go back into meters when he cleans up the doors or something like that and forces tanks to be made in response to the Hydras. But JimRising definitely thinking ahead here, right? Getting that +1 upgrade. It's going to help his Broodlords if he wants to. Did I just hear Overlords loading something? Because I think I did. Yep.
Got some Hydras loaded in. I mean, you talked about how we saw this with JimRising previously, and it can be a pretty effective way to deal with a meching army, especially if they don't really have too many anti-air defensive capabilities besides just a couple of Thors. But if the Thors aren't in position.
Oh, how many drones is this guy gonna make? Fear Dragon. He's gonna go to 96.
This is kind of getting to like dangerous levels of drones. If it weren't for the fact that he was so far ahead in this game.
He's so far ahead, yeah, that he can do this, right? So the reason why he's doing it is so that he can throw these Hydras at Buster. If he can get these drops on top of the tanks, that would be nice for him for sure. But attacking on Abyssal Reef is something that is pretty tough.
Yeah, not the worst engagement over there for Buster. He loses some supply depots, sure, and it's going to be annoying that he's losing a couple of SCVs as well from the Hydra drop in the natural. But still, Buster is all about right now building up an army, and he has equal army supply with JimRising. JimRising could start overextending himself because the army for Buster is just more cost efficient.
It is, and he's hitting at the spots that are fortified. So I guess, yeah, Buster's done a really good job spreading his army out in order to protect all three of the bases. And with such a high drone count, JimRising relies on trading, and that really wasn't much of a trade. Like, I think he might have not even got. He didn't even think he get an SCV. No?
He got a couple of supply depots. That was it. He got a few SCVs with a drop in the natural as well, but ended up losing all of those Hydras at the same time. So was it really worth it? I don't necessarily think so. I don't think
it was cute. It was a cute move, right? It was a cute move that he did, and it just was kind of lackluster. That's for sure.
See, this is actually a little bit more of what I like. What JimRising's doing now, where he's got a ton of these Banelings, just raw brute force power that's going to just charge its way straight through. Even these siege tanks that are well positioned, I mean, JimRising attacking from two different angles on this left-hand side, I think he's got a much better chance of breaking through over here than he did up that ramp.
Oh, alrighty. Well, here he goes. There was only a few Banelings on the other side. There were no links to follow it up, but he's going to try to use his brute force to push on through. It is Hydra Bane versus Thor in tank, though. And it's 2-2 on the mech upgrades, right? So that's actually pretty scary.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like this. Oh, my.
JimRising is having some trouble right now. He was up 70 or 80 supply before. Now he's only, he's still up about 40 or so supply. And he's gutting Hive up behind this. So it's not the worst situation in the world, but Buster is now up to a fairly scary looking force. He's got the tanks. He's got the Thors. He's got some Ravens. He's got cost efficiency. He's got a mech army.
Yeah, you look at the resources lost, and it's starting to look worse for JimRising. Just from those past two attacks. So that's where like nothing really happened. He threw away a good amount, but his economy's sick. He's continuing to expand.
Yeah.
And you mentioned he was going for Hive, but he didn't put down he already had the Spire, duh. So he's gonna get a greater Spire.
I'd love to see some Vipers, honestly, because if he gets even 3 or 4 good blinding clouds on these tanks or the Thors, I actually do think that he can still just stomp over this. And it'd actually even be faster than the Greater Spire, but he's going to potentially just wait for the Broodlords. He's got the Corruptors already having been built, so he can take out any of those Ravens. And Hydra drop also on the main base is going to be a nice way to just try and trade out a little bit, slow down the production of Buster.
Yeah, this is great from JimRising. Finally finding a spot. He's going to get some tech structures too. Takes out
gets the Ravens.
Oh, this is a really good drop. Goal, that Widowmine was awesome. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that he needs to do. Actual trading out of army units and also getting SCVs and tech structures.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the damage that drop did, just in terms of being able to kill off all those Ravens and even just going after some of those tech structures. Pulling Buster definitely out of position. I guess he didn't quite find an opportunity to move in with his main army during all of that. That was a lot of supply he committed to the attack, so he's gonna want to start.
There were just too many tanks.
Yeah.
But Your wish is his command as 3 Vipers are in production. I think there were 8 Broodlords being made, and even 8 more Corruptors, so JimRising going to be trying to get rid of some of these Banelings probably. They're kind of not that useful, I don't think, because, I mean, it's not a Hellbat army, right? So Banelings usually help clear out the Hellbats in the front, but if you're just going to lead in and the first thing you reach are this shelling of a siege tank, then yeah, you're probably going to lose them all before they even do anything. And even when they do make connections, it doesn't do that much. They don't do extra damage to mech.
Yeah, the Broodlords honestly are what JimRising is looking to just seal the deal. Vipers will be there to assist if they are needed.
Yeah, but the Broodlords are really like there's not an actual answer for the Broodlords aside from the Thors, but
I think there's like 2 Vikings being made. Yeah, 2 Vikings being made right now, and there's not really a whole lot else. JimRising still kept a couple of Corruptors alive, so they should easily be able to deal with those. Besides that, it's just the Thors, and as long as these Broodlords don't get caught completely off guard by the Thors, they shouldn't let them too close to them.
There could be some Seeker missile action too coming from the Raven, so if he clumps up those Broodlords and gets some good shots from that Thor, this could look bad. That was a really nice parasitic bomb, but there is a Seeker missile goes on off on that.
These Thors are getting on top of the Broodlords. Okay, good Blinding Cloud does come down on top of a lot of these Thors, putting them very far to the front, but these Broodlords are all going down.
Yeah, they are. They're getting targeted down, and another one goes down, and that was basically JimRising's Broodlord army, but does it matter? Apparently not. I thought that was actually pretty good there. It's just the fact that once the last Thor goes down, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, got a little weird over there just because he was losing all of his Broodlords, but like you said, after the last Thor goes down, there's no more Vikings, there's no more Ravens that could really do anything, at least no Ravens with energy left over. And JimRising ends up taking the game with just straight up brute force. Like, I don't actually think that JimRising took a cost-efficient engagement that
at
game.
all, yeah.
Like a single one?
I don't think so either. Like, if you look at the graph too, you can see where he goes up in army and then all of a sudden he just goes down in army and Buster stays completely flat.
Yeah, just repeatedly. All right, but ladies and gentlemen, before we hop into game number 2, we're going to be hopping to a short little break. Be sure to check out our wonderful sponsor, Chairs for Gaming. You're going to find out a little bit more information about them if you haven't heard enough about them from us. bring us back in.
Sure.
Welcome
All
back,
right.
ladies and gentlemen. How's it going?
It's good.
Coming back in for game number 2 after a pretty fantastic game number 1. Got a little scary there for JimRising, but the economy does pay off.
Oh boy, like he was just throwing everything at Buster, and the funny part
Including
is
nearly the game.
And yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, yo, here's a Bane, here's a Hydra, here's the game. But he was able to have such a good economy that it didn't matter. And also that last Hydra drop was really good. It ended up taking out the Ravens before that Broodlord engagement. So
Yeah.
if he didn't do that, there would have been like, what, 3 more Ravens there? I want to
That's
say.
more Hunter Seeker missiles for those Broodlords that take them out a little bit faster, or maybe even getting the Hunter Seeker missiles down on the Vipers. I think the Vipers were pretty much the MVP of that last engagement.
Yes. Everything got clumped up on that side. But that's all in the past. But it is going to affect him potentially, as this is his last life. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, it is the Red Terran, Buster. Can he do it? Can he bust out of the lower bracket?
And his opponent up here on the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for JimRising, sitting up 1-0, ready to move on to that next stage, that qualifying match for the offline event.
Or will he get Baneling busted? You never know. JimRising could do it. But we've seen him really prefer that mid-game. And then, he wasn't able to kill Buster there. And then he was like, okay, I probably should get up to Hive. As Abyssal Reef is very, very difficult to break an opponent that has too much mech. So he did it right. He did the right decision there. Just wasn't that efficient. But you know what? In the end, he got the W. Attacked at the right time before there was enough to deal with Broodlords. And now here he is in game number 2, up by 1.
Isn't that the beautiful thing about StarCraft? The beautiful thing, as we saw the Broodlords in that last game. But that's the beautiful thing about StarCraft, right? Is that if you win, it doesn't matter how closely the game, how close you were to throwing the game, or how close you were to winning or losing the game. It's just win or loss. It gets rounded into this very Boolean state of you won the last game or you didn't win the last game. And I suppose there's also the tie game situation where you regame, but we're going to pretend like that one doesn't exist for my example.
No, it's true. But you know what sucks about that too? Is that a player who can do so well in a tournament, make it to the finals and then lose in the finals. And it's like he might have been undefeated until the finals or did this or had a really sick run. They'll just remember him as the guy that lost in the finals, right? It's like, damn, man. It's like,
if you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. So I feel like it works both ways, but in this stage right here, right now, I think, yeah, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the only person that people will, or the only types of people that people will really remember who get second place are like the Sues of the world.
Who get him so
like
consistent.
the people who literally create their definition of their character by getting second place so often.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Only that worked for someone like me who gets like last place every time. It's like, I've never made it past the first round in any tournament. It's like, nobody remembers me though. Damn.
Oh, one day they'll know the power of Kwame Mensa.
They'll look at that bracket and be like, you know what? You know who I always see in the first round, but never after that? It's like, dude, this guy right here.
When you start making it past the first round, they'll call you Temp 1.
To every stage.
You made it past Temp 0.
Yo, that could happen. I could do that. It'd be like my power level, right? Like every stage of a tournament that I make.
Power level is 0 right now.
It's 0 right now, unfortunately, but you can add another 0 and turn it the opposite way, and it'll be the infinity sign.
I was like, you add another 0, it's still 0 tempo.
It's like, shoot.
Every tournament I play in, I add another 0 to the end of my power level. It's like, what's it at right now? 0.
0. Rip.
So we did have a there was like a Reaper opening, but it seems like Buster's pretty passive with these Reapers, honestly. He did
Uh-oh, I feel something.
Rocket Raccoon.
No!
I think his internet died last game too. Yep. A little bit
Damn,
unfortunate.
it's like right at the beginning of the game. I wonder if does his stream go down or what? Somebody said that his internet went down, so it is. I would assume that his
Yeah,
stream.
I would
Oh
assume the stream
man,
also went down. A little bit unfortunate. It's one of
yeah,
the foreign
that
language
really.
casters for those who are wondering.
Yeah, this goes to game three.
And the bright side is that none of this is happening during the middle of engagements or
Nope.
trades or anything. So that is the bright side of things. But just quickly talking about the game as Rocket Raccoon does leave, we did have Overlord getting nicely positioned. A Marine tries to kill it off, but with no success. And mixed up to the high ground, we have the Reaper scouting out that third, and the Hellions charging on in.
Yep. That distraction at that third is going to allow these Hellions to get on in again. But will they be as successful as they were last game? Okay, they're setting up for it, Fear Dragon.
Oh, drones lining up a lot of final shots off, getting 6 kills. Not quite able to get the extra 2 that he got the last game, but, you know, still not terrible damage.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Did he keep the Reaper alive? He did keep the Reaper alive. So, yeah, not as successful as the last time, but that was very close. JimRising pulled back at the last moment with his drones and was like, I hope these don't kill all of my drones. And he ended up getting, like, just every drone there got a piece of those Hellions.
Yeah, those drones definitely got a little bit low on health from all that damage. Reaper makes its way into the maybe, scouts out the lair timing. I guess also most importantly, just confirming how many gas guys there are is a good reveal for, oh, are you going to go just crazy on mutas as soon as that lair finishes up or what?
Yep. And only one Evo chamber too, so I mean, you can't really gauge from that to see what exactly is going to happen, but it does mean that he's not investing already into like upgraded lings before lair. JimRising playing it very safe. I do like it. Since like Terran openers aren't so black and white anymore, it almost seemed like, okay, 2-1-1 is it's either going to be that or something weird like a 3x Reaper. We're seeing a lot more different openers here, and JimRising knows about that, so he's not going to commit to an upgrade until he knows exactly what it is.
Okay, well, Buster, I like what he's doing right now. He's going up to that mech style again. Not only has he made all these Hellions once again, but he's got the double armory up very quickly. He's got the double factories going up. And this is something that caused JimRising a lot of problems in the last game in terms of JimRising having trouble closing it out. But JimRising got into a pretty good position early on. He definitely threw away a lot of those Hydras trying to tech up the ramp on Abyssal Reef. And there's not really going to be that same kind of angle where JimRising is going to have a hard time breaking through the third this game. I actually feel like that kind of attack will be a lot better suited for a map like Ascension of Ire. So I actually am a bit worried for Buster this game.
Same here, especially because he is going to almost lose another Banshee. He lost one. So a big thing to note about last game is how much damage the Mutas did. So Buster is setting up his third base just like he did before. Still no engineering base, so it's around the same timing, Fear Dragon, and if he does the same thing that he did last game, it is going to be even harder for him to deal with this.
Okay, but Hellbat's coming into the mix this time. Going to be roasting a lot of these Lings. Lings do have a full surround, though, and are actually handling these Hellbats almost entirely.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad. Getting a decent amount of those Hellbats before they were even... Well, he got a good amount of damage before they turned into full Hellbats, so that helped out a lot.
I would say that was a really solid cleanup from JimRising. He loses the Lings, but the Lings are there to defend against the Hellbats. Maybe he has to remake a few more, but JimRising's already had 64 drones. Getting up to 74 drones, he can even afford to lose a few. And his big mute attack is going to be coming out soon.
That it is. And it is going to be, what, 10? He got 9 mutas here with 2 additional... No, those are Lings.
I hate the skins, man, in the production tab. I hate them so much.
I just, yeah, for some of them, it's just like, what the hell? Like, what is that anyway, right? But...
Oh, actually finding a couple of drones over here with these Hellions, though. Getting 5 drone kills before the Queens finally halt them. Still, the Muta's going to look to try and do some damage. JimRising. He's going to encounter the 2 Thors once again, but this time, you know, even 2 less Mutas, it does make a difference in trying to take those Thors in a head-on fight.
Oh, yeah. Though, the natural is pretty exposed. I like that Buster split his Thors up in a way that he would be able to defend between the first and the third, but he's still losing quite a few workers right now. Not quite as much as last time, but JimRising is still getting...
Oh, these Mutas.
Oh my.
Well, that Thor was pretty efficient.
Yeah. He has 6 kills on him, and those are not Lings, my friend.
Well... I think almost every single Muta is about to die right here.
Wow.
He's so close to killing the last one as well, but was that enough damage?
Like, he's in shock. He's like, what happened?
I don't think there was enough damage, actually, given the fact that JimRising just lost all of the mutas.
Yeah, I think the fact that he lost so many of them, and he has to deal with a potential counterattack at some point. I mean, Buster isn't doing that style with the medevac, so he's not going to be able to use these Thors aggressively like that. It is going to have to be an actual mech army, so it's more so about getting this army out. And since he's not on an economy that is basically nothing, running on mules, it's actually a pretty... I mean, look at the difference in this game. Just the fact that he's mining his gas. Remember before? He was like, I don't even have enough to mine gas, so...
Yeah. This is a huge difference in economy for Buster. He has 60 plus workers. He's adding on 2 more factories. He's getting up his 4th at a reasonable time. And the Banshee's actually doing some nice damage inside the main base because he's got 4 of them dancing around.
And there's nothing to contest him. I mean, before, yeah, sure. Yeah. The mutas could have came back and killed the Banshees. Maybe Buster would be too afraid, but gosh, he killed every single muta. I don't even know where that last one went, but he just flew over eventually.
And he's getting up his tank count. He's bought almost enough time, arguably. Maybe he has to siege up these other 2 tanks by his 3rd, but this Hydra attack, I don't actually know how successful it's going to be with how many Thors and tanks there are now.
Yeah, he's definitely not in the same spot that he was in. If he was in the same spot and it was Ascension to Ire, then yeah, I would say this is going to be a great attack, but Buster is ready to deflect this. He's on his 1-1, +2 attack, might be finishing soon. It looks like Buster did not get a chance to get +2 armor though, but oh my gosh.
This was a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What do you think about the remaking of just a handful of these mutas?
The mutas, I think he did it in response to the Banshees being in his base. So I think it was more of a, like, reaction, like, you know, just, oh, wow, Banshee, better need mutas, like, you know, and just made them. So they'll at least be able to eventually take out the Banshees. But I mean, he has Hydras out, right? So if he keeps them around the base, like a couple of them, should be able to handle them. But I do believe he made the mutas out of fear.
Yeah, pokes forward and says, actually, no, I don't want to sacrifice all of my units going in there. Muta's actually finding some okay damage over by this potential 4th location, killing off a few SCVs that are trying to mine from over there. Remember that Buster's army is very vulnerable, and these Banshees are the wrong units to try and pull to deal with mutas.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to lose to them. But now we're getting to that point again where JimRising has a great economy, but Buster is not out of this at all. He's on 62 workers. He's taken the 4th base. His +2 is done now. And yeah, I think his production is actually in full swing. So where's JimRising going with this as he starts to bank up a lot of money in order to set up for his next phase of the game?
It does look like it's going to be the Hive tech, as he's also getting out those upgrades as well. But again, we saw how effective Blinding Clouds on this army are devastating for Buster, because he goes very light on the Hellions. He goes very light on the Hellbats because he just keeps using them for the harassment and kind of just sacrificing them to try and get economic damage done. But JimRising just seems unfazed by it because he just keeps re-droning whatever drones he's lost and goes up to 92 once again.
All right, well, we are going to see this Hydra drop again. Buster knows about it. He did scout it with the Banshee. Now, that Overlord will go down, but the turrets are going to go up in time. I think these Hydras are going to fly into a big ring of turrets.
I actually think they might be able to still do this, though.
He's going to just go for it?
Oh, no, he's not dropping him out very quickly, though.
Nope, but he gets in there.
Oh, right before the upgrades are about to finish, he's target fire, not quite target firing down the army, but he gets one of them. +2 vehicle plating denied.
And this is what happened last time. The other upgrade, it was +3. Hydras are inside of the ring. The Thors are here too. And I think the Thor should be able to take out these Hydras, but will he even lose a Thor?
It doesn't look like it. So, I mean, overall, the decent defense from Buster. He's going to take a little bit of damage from the mutas, but auto turret's actually going down to defend the tanks. And at the end of the day, I would say just delaying those upgrades does play a huge role in this, especially since denying the, I think it was the ship weapons upgrade that Buster was going for.
Ship weapons and vehicle plating too.
Yeah, then that actually allows JimRising's big transition into like Greater Spire, if he decides to go for it, to be a lot more effective, and even just helps those Vipers stay alive a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well then, I mean, what do you think about that attack? I believe it was another one of those cost inefficient trades, and JimRising knew it. I think he gets to the stage where he realizes that they're not going to be as effective like the Hydras and the Mutas, so he tries to get something done while out expanding his opponent. getting into the next tech. And I get the idea, but it just feels like it's so inefficient, like it overly inefficient. Because
I would like it more if he had already had his transitionary tech ready.
Yeah,
Like if
okay.
his Ultra Cavern was done and he did something like that, you know what? I'd actually be cool with that. If his Greater Spire was on the way, I'd actually be okay with that. But
Yeah,
it's just the fact that he's now just sitting around on this pretty big bank, 153 supply, looking a little bit vulnerable because he's still waiting for his tech to actually finish up. Kind of gives me a little bit of, I don't know, hesitance about that attack, but it seems like Buster takes a good bit of time to actually finally move out across the map, despite being maxed out for a little while. And now he's going to finally try to make some damage happen. And this may just barely be in time to punish JimRising.
it could. Chitinous plating is just now beginning, so these 4 Ultras are not going to have that upgrade. 3-3 is even pretty far along the way, and a lot of these army units are weak against what it is that Buster has. Good amount of tanks on the ground. Pretty decent upgrades here at 2-1. JimRising only on 2-2, or 2-2-2, I should say. But he has Ravens who don't care about upgrades either.
Oh, these Vipers are going to be actually very important as well. Getting
Full
some
energy
good blinding
too.
Clouds, or even just pulling these Thors. Oh, there's some good blinding clouds, actually. Vipers going uncontested. Finally, one dies to the Widow Mines, and another one goes down, or another blinding cloud goes down.
All right, well, the auto turrets are pushing back the Hydras. The Ultras are in the battle, but they want to back on off until that Chitinous plating is done. Baneling's going to crash on top of a lot of the siege tanks, and I think JimRising is going to be able to break on through, but he loses all of his Vipers.
He does lose all of his Vipers, but I think that just because the Ultras are now alive, the Ravens, they may still be in the air, but they're pretty much out of energy, and even the Hydras are starting to chase them down, taking them out one by one. JimRising has to be a bit careful not to overextend, but he definitely did manage to hold on, and now he's going to survive long enough until Chitinous plating is now finished up. He's getting up his +3 melee attacks. He's getting up his +3 missile attacks. He's getting into this really powerful late game that I don't think Buster really has an answer to.
Yeah, he wanted to take another base. He made a bunch of command centers before that fight, but can he actually secure these bases is the question. There's a lot of tanks here, and they are just now sieging up, but what is there to protect the tanks? Hellion's going to arrive right in the nick of time.
Yeah, do create that front line buffer. The Ravens also starting to regenerate some of that energy for auto turrets, so mess with the Ultralisk AI, as well as even just Hunter Seeker missiles. JimRising's economy still looking fantastic, though, as he's taking the bottom base. This is actually the last base he could take on his side of the map. After that, he's going to start going into enemy territory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess you could go for, like, yeah, it's right in the middle. Like, yeah, exactly. But, I mean, at that point, it's, like, pretty close to your opponent and where they're going to be expanding. Now, these Lings do have adrenal glands, so he has to be very careful. Or Buster has to be very careful looking at his mineral line if they ever get into it. And then also surrounding the doors if there are too many of them.
Did Buster never get Infernal Pre-Igniter?
He did not, no. Those would help pretty nicely, but yeah, I mean, the army, what do you think about this, though? Like, he has to defend his 5th base, but he's trying because he needs to defend his 3rd at the same time. So it's like he has a segmented army, it feels like.
Yeah, there's just so many Ultras, and the tanks, they're doing a good job given how many there are to try and take out all these Ultras. They are going to be able to do it and take out all the Hydras at the same time, but like you said, it's about defending both of these bases, and one of them is going to go down.
Yeah, it looks like JimRising going to get what he came for. 13 workers go down with it, Buster to 56. And yeah, just wasn't able to defend both places at once, but I mean, that was a pretty decent trade there for Buster. It's just the fact that he doesn't have the economy that JimRising does. Who is like sitting at home like, whoa, what should I make next? Okay, let's make Corruptors. That seems like a good idea, you know? And he already has a Greater Spire about to finish when the Corruptors pop out, so is there an answer for Broodlords? Last game there was not. And
that is going to be the big question.
Makes me think that he does not think Broodlords are on the way.
Yeah, you know, last game at least he had, I think, maybe like 6, 7, maybe almost 8 Thors. And those were able to take out the Broodlords. Even though he ended up eating a big blinding cloud at the end of it, he was able to kill off most of the Broodlords. He only has 3 Thors this game. He's not making any more. He's making more Ravens, which can help with the Broodlords, but they're not a complete, wholesome answer to the Broodlords.
Yeah, he realizes something, though, as 3 Vikings are going to be in production. He only has ship weapons +1. +2 has only just begun. And JimRising is getting ready to push once again. He has a pretty sick ground army too. So the Broodlords are going to allow this to break the siege. And then as soon as they unsiege, he might go in there. But he doesn't have to worry about the Widow Mines. I don't know if he knows about all of them.
Well, in a moment's time, these
You'll know.
These Broodlords are going to start shredding these tanks, or I should say the tanks will start shredding themselves as these friendly fire splash damage starts doing the damage. But okay, Hunter Seeker missiles starting to go down. The Broodlords actually taking a lot of damage. Oh my god, there's no defense for the Broodlords. The Vikings are just going ham.
Yeah, they are, and the Widow Mines are trying to protect the tanks. I think they're going to be doing a decent job, but the friendly fire from the Broodlords is not helping Buster out in any way right now. Parasitic Bomb might take out a lot of these Vikings, though. He's not splitting them. Oh, he does it at the last second.
Okay, that was a very awkward series of trades, but it seems like JimRising is still going to be able to take out the command center's mining over at this third base.
Oh, and Adrenal. These are cracklings to the fullest. 3-3 with Adrenal Glands. Taking out everything else while the Broodlords do get shut down. But at what cost, my friend? At what cost? It's going to be his other base here that is an orbital. A lot of SIVs that are going down.
Yeah, the army supply is gradually going favor in of JimRising, and JimRising just has so much better remax potential. He makes a bunch of Hydras, and Buster's like, oh well, I got some Vikings. You want to make some more Broodlords? I can deal with Broodlords, but not so much the Hydras.
Nope, and that command center did not stand a chance. Buster will call the GG, and JimRising advances, making it to the next round to see if he will play against Pili Pili or Jig.
Indeed, that is going to be our next match on this stream, but well played by both those players. Unfortunate to see Buster now go out 2-0, but you know what? The 2-0 really doesn't reflect, I think, how well Buster did, because Buster came into this entire thing qualifying through the LAN qualifier for Kings of the North, but he came in as the underdog, and he definitely impressed me. He definitely shows that he could be one of the big players to come up in the North American scene.
Yeah, I like that he's just able to hold on for so long, but wasn't able to hold on for long enough. JimRising was able to get enough economy. But the thing about it is that that's not all that Buster is made of either, right? Like we saw him do a lot of different timings, and he gets his damage done in the early game really well. And some of the pushes that he was doing earlier were pretty scary too. So I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things that he's a versatile player. It's hard to predict him. Just that JimRising had his number, it seemed, right? Like,
yeah,
was able to do it.
And at the end of the day, we do see, like you said, JimRising move on. We're going to take a short little break, ladies and gentlemen, before we hop into the next series as we get Jig and Pili Pili set up for their series. Remember that tomorrow we're going to be playing the qualifying matches of Puck versus Semper, as well as JimRising versus the winner of our next series. So stay tuned and be sure during the break to check out Chairs for Gaming. Use the promo code ESChamp to get some discounts on those chairs. Asus ROG. Check out their website for all kinds of awesome hardware that are going to make StarCraft run beautifully on your computer. And of course, also be sure to check out that Match Arena page by typing !Match Arena in the chat. Use the promo code KOTN4 to add $1 to the prize pool. But we'll be back in a little bit. Don't go anywhere.
Indeed.